Good evening, Celtic fans, and welcome back to the channel. In this evening's Celtic FC news, we're going to talk about Bosun Lawwell and him joining Scott Brown. We're going to talk about what I think the strongest starting 11 might be this season so far, but I think that will change. We'll talk about the images of, yes, wait for it, Dial-A-Dome. Dial-A-Dome. Ronnie Dyler suggested that Celtic needed an indoor ground for training, and then there's been pictures released, and it looks like it's actually going to happen at Barrowfield. And I've got to say that from the pictures that I've seen, the pictures that I saw, the training pitch facility looks absolutely amazing. And then we'll have to talk about the ticket allocation at Ibrox again. Yes, we'll talk about that slightly, and no chance that you might have just watched us on the live. If you haven't watched the live, click on the channel and go to lives, and then check out the live that's just happened a couple of hours ago. So first of all, let's talk about big Bosun Lawwell. First of all, he is now joining Scott Brown. We've spoken about this before, but it is official. Bosun Lawwell obviously moved to Celtic in 2021, where he joined up with the B team. He's impressed with the B team, and we all thought that he was going to make a move into the first team, but it seems that the manager doesn't think he's quite first team ready and needs to get out there and get some game time before he is first team ready. He was obviously rewarded with his senior debut last season. He came off the bench and as a substitute in the 5-0 win over Greenock Morton in the Scottish Cup. He then went on to represent Ireland through youth levels and up to under 21 level, scoring a late equaliser against Ukraine in a 2-2 draw back in June. The Fleetwood Town deal offers him one of two things. It offers him a great opportunity to work with Scott Brown, and for Scott Brown to get his hands on another Celtic piece of talent and make sure that they develop in the right way, so that when they come back to Celtic, there's no chance of them being first team ready. Celtic, they're getting a player that's going to get out there and get first team football. And I mean, Scott, I'll have a phone call to the club once a week, I'm sure, if not more, giving Brendan an update on his players. You know, it's a promising move for both young guys, Montgomery and Bosun, to get down there and get game time. I mean, Scott had a fantastic run in the FA Cup last year with his team, so I mean, it's going to give them a chance to play against some top opposition on a week-to-week basis. So that'll be good for them as players going forward. Right. The images, let's talk about back in 2016 when Brendan Rodgers was asked about the Dial-A-Dome, the Ronnie Dial-A-Dome. Ronnie Dyler said that Celtic really needs a full-size indoor training pitch, because let's face it, he says you'll spend 3 months of the year in Scotland up at Lennoxtown, where you're just trying to keep the players warm, and training outside at Lennoxtown during the winter isn't ideal for a club of Celtic's size and the prestige that comes along with being Celtic. And just if we have any ambition at all about improving our players, especially for the Champions League, we really need an all-round facility. And the fact that the all-round facility, the indoor full-size stadium down at Barrowfield, will be the home of the Celtic women's team. And that does one of two things. Also, it saves the Celtic women's team, it saves Celtic money on hiring a venue. Let's just double check this, because the last time this happened, we had signed a player. No, it's just about the tickets. Yeah, so the women's football team basically have to hire a stadium year in, year out, and that's no good either. That's no good either. I mean, it's obviously they used Celtic Park briefly last season, which was great, and you got to see the Celtic end, and the boys and the ultras sort of showed you what we could have at the Celtic end. But giving them our own home, which would be an indoor facility, would be absolutely fantastic. It is going to have a certain amount of seating within inside the mini stadium, so that it gives the female fans a nice atmosphere to watch the games, and it also gives the full team squad an excellent place to do their training during the winter. So that looks like it's going to be absolutely amazing. There's some of the pictures, an artist's impression from the architects. There is two full-size pitches outside with looks like a 3/4 pitch, and there's another 2 pitches the other side with the big indoor. And the big news is, in the pictures, don't worry about it. the Celtic Supporters Club is still in the pictures. It's still going to be there, so you can get a pint at the Celtic Supporters Association Club before you head up to Parkhead. So that's brilliant, because I think a big fear was that was maybe going to get knocked down, but it is still in the picture of the new complex. But then what does that do to Lennoxtown? What does that do to Lennoxtown? Because Celtic spent a lot of money on Lennoxtown. Is it worth having the two training facilities, or will Celtic pull the plug on Lennoxtown? That'll be interesting to find that out. But obviously that's a few years down the road. And to be fair, getting the players coming all the way into Glasgow when the majority of them don't stay in Glasgow, I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. We'll try and get some pictures up of this new venue. So let's move on to the ticket nonsense. Celtic turned down the tickets. It has been made official that Celtic have turned down the away allocation of 700 tickets. They wanted a bigger allocation, and if you'll go back to the live, you'll see what we've just been saying about it in the live. Rangers, though, right? If Celtic, even though Celtic haven't taken their tickets, Rangers, come December, they're going to cite ruling I-27. If they're unable to have their request granted by Celtic for away game tickets, so they're going to go crying to the SPFL. So tell me what your thoughts are about that in the comments. Also, right, let's get back to what I think the strongest 11 might be so far. Since we've not got a keeper, it looks like it's going to be Joe Hart. I think Alistair Johnson, when he comes back, definitely a starter. Greg Taylor on the left back just now, because we haven't come in with any other person in that position. He will be in before Bernaby. So you've got Greg Taylor. You've got Cameron Carter-Vickers, who will be at the back, definitely, as the season goes on. And moving on from that, we will have, I think next to him, we will have Big Rocky. I think maybe Gustav's just a little bit early to try and knock any of the two off their position. Rio Hatate in the midfield, definitely all day long. Centre midfield, Matt O'Reilly in the midfield also. He's got a big season ahead of him. Callum McGregor, nobody's taken Callum McGregor out the team, not a chance. And then out wide, you're going to have Abada. It is big news for Abada. If you didn't see this morning's video, make sure that you check out the morning video, where it's been suggested that Abada and Hatate will be offered new contracts, which is good for them. And then you're going to have Kyogo up front with Dyson Maeda sitting next to him. So that's my strongest 11 that I think Celtic will go to in the next couple of weeks once everyone's fit. Tell me what you think about that in the comments also. So I hope you enjoyed the live tonight. If you haven't checked out any of the live videos, check out the one that I'll put up here and see what we're saying about the away ticket allocation fiasco between Celtic Rangers. It is getting to a bit of a fiasco because, let's face it, we all know why they reduced the allocation. They reduced the allocation because they were fed up of Brendan Rodgers winning comfortably at Ibrox Park. So on that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party, roll up to